Hi everyone, it's Christine here from christinestampinspot.blogspot.com, and I'm really excited to share a video with you today on how to do some two-step stamping with the new Swirly Bird stamp set. I have to admit, when I first saw this stamp set in the new catalog, this is one of the ones that is demonstrated we could pre-order. Of course, the entire catalog is now available, so anyone can order anything from the catalog now. But I did get this on my initial pre-order. It comes in a bundle if you want to. You can buy the stamp set separately from the coordinating frame or thinlets if you want, but if you buy them together, you do save 10%. I'm not going to showcase the thinlets today. I will show you a card I made at the end of the video that does have one of the thinlet elements on it, but stay tuned for some videos in the future on the actual thinlets. But anyway, I did purchase the bundle in a demonstrator pre-order, but I really wasn't sure what to do with this set. And then I started playing around with it, and to be perfectly honest, it is now my absolute favorite stamp set of all time. So let me go ahead and get started. Let me show you the card we're going to be making today. This is the card we're going to be making today. It's a simple thank you card, and if you order anything from me in the month of June, you will be getting one of these. Here's another one. Very similar. They're basically the same. But again, this is very simple to do, and I will show you how to make this card. So what you're going to need to make this simple thank you card is obviously the Swirly Bird stamp set. You're going to need the Garden Green ink pad, which I believe is from the Brights collection. You're going to need also two other ink pads from the new in colors, Flirty Flamingo and Peekaboo Peach. You're then going to need an embossing buddy, because as you see here, this thanks is embossed in gold embossing powder. So you will need gold embossing powder. I just buy these cheap, I think that they're Ziploc. I'm not even sure which company makes them. I think it's Ziploc. They're just Tupperware containers that are very, very, very inexpensive. And I just use those to store my embossing powders in. So you're going to need an embossing buddy and your gold embossing powder. You're going to need some Flirty Flamingo cardstock. This I use for my card base. You're going to need some gorgeous gold foil paper, which is in the specialty paper section of the catalog at the end of the catalog. You're going to need some Whisper White cardstock, and I already put some Whisper White inside my card base for a place to write. And then you're going to need some gold glimmer paper as well. And then finally, you can use any sentiment stamp sets you have on hand. This doesn't have to be a thank you card. It could be a thinking of you card. It could be any type of card that you want. I made it a thank you card for my customers, and I used the perfectly wrapped stamp set. This coordinates with a kit, which I showed on, I think, 2 videos ago on my pre-order. But I just used the thanks from this. It's a great stamp set. Even if you don't get the kit, this is a great stamp set to have. So it's the perfectly wrapped, and I just used the thanks from that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to show you how to do some two-step stamping. Get all of this stuff out of the way. This. So all you're going to start off with is your Whisper White cardstock. Now, these are photopolymer stamp sets, which means that is a photopolymer stamp set, which means that it's clear, see-through, which is great because it means you can see exactly where you want to stamp. But sometimes, because photopolymer stamps are so thin and they don't have the cushions that rubber stamps do, sometimes you don't get the best image when you stamp. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to take out my Peekaboo Peach, and I'm going to ink this up really good. And I'm just going to stamp it down on my scratch paper. And as you can see, it's a little bit, I might not be able to see with the camera angle there, but you can see it's like a little bit darker down here, not quite as dark up here. So what you want to do to correct that is, first off, you want to have something cushiony underneath your stamping space. I just have this like a foam thing. You can use a mouse pad. You can even use your Stampin' Up! Catalog. You want to have something underneath where you're stamping, underneath your scratch paper. Another tip that you can use is stamp your clear stamp in Versamark ink first. This is your watermark stamp pad. This is what we're going to be using when we do the embossing in just a few minutes, but it also works to get excellent stamp ink coverage on your stamp. So let me clean this off first. I'm going to pull over my Stampin' Scrub, and if you don't have this, I recommend this so much. This is a lifesaver for me personally. I used to use baby wipes, and I was going through packages of baby wipes a day sometimes, and this is just so much easier. So you just use your little Stampin' mist and you spray that on the left side, which is your wet side. You take your stamp, just rub it, and then this is your dry side, and it's totally clean. See? Totally clean. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring the Peekaboo Peach back over here, bring the Versamark pad over here. And I'm going to stamp this, get this nice and inky in my Versamark pad first. And then I'm just going to set that aside. We're done with that for now. And I'm going to ink it directly into the Peekaboo Peach ink pad, get it nice and inked up. And then I'm just going to go ahead, and there's no right or wrong way to stamp this. We're just going to stamp this. I'm going to do one kind of in the corner here. Pull it up. See how beautiful that is, the coverage? And I actually find that I don't need to ink back into my Versamark that often. So I'm not going to clean my stamps in between. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp the next one. And then one more time. Down here. And again, there's no right or wrong. Wherever you want these swirlies is where you put them. It really is no right or wrong way to do this. Okay, so that's the first step. I'm going to put my Peekaboo Peach stamp pad away. And now we're going to take out the other in color ink pad that we're going to use. This is Flirty Flamingo. And this is the little tiny swirl. As you can see in the original card, I have the Peekaboo Peach, and then in the middle I just have this swirly that's smaller. That's the stamp from the Swirly Bird stamp set. So we're just going to ink this one up, and because this one doesn't have a lot of, like this one had a lot of just open space, this one doesn't, so you're not going to need the Versamark for this one. Just the cushion under your workspace is really all you're going to need. So we're going to ink this in our Flirty Flamingo ink pad. And again, no right or wrong. You're just going to kind of stamp this somewhere in the middle. There you go. So it just gives it some added texture, and it's just fun. That's what I have to say about this ink pad. Or this stamp set rather. It's just so much fun. So this one we're going to have in the middle there, like that. And then finally this one we're going to stamp in the middle over here in our third one. Okay, so that part is done. Now we're going to do some smaller flowers in the Flirty Flamingo, and we're going to use this little swirly. So it's kind of like the one we just used, but it's much smaller. And I'm just going to stamp some of these, just again randomly wherever I feel like it, honestly, because again there's no right or wrong. This is your creation, so you get to put it wherever you want. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do. So there's that. Now I can close up my my Flirty Flamingo ink pad. And now I'm going to bring out the garden green. And the next part that we're going to do is we're going to do the leaves. And there's two different sizes of leaves that come in your stamp set. So let me pull over the stamp set and pull out. There's two different sizes of leaves. We're going to use this small leaf for the small flowers, and we're going to use this larger leaf for the big ones, because we're just going to make these swirlies. We're just going to pretend that they're flowers, because they kind of look like swirly, cute flowers. Really, honestly, the possibilities with this stamp set are really and truly endless. It's so awesome. So we're going to go ahead and open up our garden green ink pad. I'm going to ink up my leaf. And this is one of those that does have that big open space. There's no lines in the middle of the stamp. So sometimes these leaves can be a little temperamental when trying to ink them up and stamp out a clean image because it's photopolymer. So make sure you have that cushion under your workspace. And if it's giving you a lot of trouble, you can use the Versamark trick that I showed you. But for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to go ahead and take my chances here. So I'm just going to stamp leaves randomly. And again, I can't stress this enough. There is no right or wrong way to stamp these. You stamp the leaves wherever you want them. So I kind of like to have, let me pull over my original. I kind of like to pair two leaves on each side. So what I'm going to do is I stamped this one here, and then because these are photopolymer, you can see right through them, and I know exactly where to place the base. So I can have a leaf coming kind of up like so. Does that make sense? I don't even know if that makes sense what I'm trying to say, but hopefully you can see in what I'm demonstrating, since my words are failing me a little bit today. So let me just do a couple more of these big size leaves here. I'm going to do one here, like so. And then I'm going to do one over here. Am I in the camera frame? Let me push this up just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go over like this. And then we'll have one going slightly up like that. Okay, so there's my leaves on my large sized flowers. And let me just clean these up because I'm going to reuse the same block here with the small leaf. So let me pull out my stamp set again. So now we're going to use this small size leaf for the small flowers. So let me just peel that off real quick and stick that on my block. Okay, so we're still using the garden green. And we're just going to put little leaves here. Okay, so there's that. And you see how I kind of messed that up and the tip is not right? Let me show you how great photopolymer is because I can just go back in. Let me pull this up here. The tip, I just didn't get enough ink. So I can go back in with my stamp. And again, because they're photopolymer, I can fix it and just stamp right over top of it. And it'll be like I never made that mistake. See? Cool, huh? So let me just finish quickly here doing the other leaves. This one I'm going to have go this way. Okay. And this one will go this way. And this one we will, I'm just going to turn the paper because it's easier for me. I'm behind the camera so my angle isn't perfect here. So there'll probably be a couple mistakes, but that's okay. No big deal because again, they're photopolymer and I can fix it. See? So if you noticed when I was going through stamping those leaves, I messed up quite a few times because again, my angle's all messed up here with the camera right where my head needs to be. And because they're photopolymer, I could just fix it because I can see right through where I'm stamping. So the last step in terms of the stamping of the main panel here is we are going to do the little dot background, okay? And that is in the same stamp set, it's Swirly Bird stamp set, and it's this particular image, and it's just little dots. So I kind of did both. I did Flirty Flamingo and Peekaboo Peach, and I stamped off before I stamped it on my Whisper White paper. And let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to take the Flirty Flamingo first. I'm going to stamp off on my scratch paper. That just makes it lighter on my actual image panel. So I'm going to go through and just kind of stamp randomly around here. Let's see where I want this. Kind of like this. Okay. We'll do a couple more of the Flirty Flamingo and then we'll bring the Peekaboo Peach in. And then we will be almost done. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do on the Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to clean my stamp off really quick so I can now ink it into the Peekaboo Peach. Close up my Flirty Flamingo ink pad and pull out Peekaboo Peach and open it up. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to ink it up and I'm going to stamp off on my scratch paper and then I'm going to stamp it right over where I was doing the others. Okay, so that's the background. Now I'm going to close up the Peekaboo Peach ink pad. And so the last part that we have to do is the embossing. So for that, I'm going to pull over a block here. And I'm going to go ahead and get my sentiment out, which again was from this perfectly wrapped stamp set. So in the new catalog, I'm just going to pull the thanks off. Okay. Stick that on. Let's see here. I want to make sure the sentiment's nice and straight. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so because I have other ink on here, I want to make sure that the embossing powder does not stick to that ink. So I'm going to take my embossing buddy, which is with the embossing products, towards the back of the catalog, and I'm going to be putting the thanks kind of right up in here. So you're just going to rub that embossing buddy over that area, and it's going to make sure that the embossing powder sticks to nothing but wherever you put the Versamark ink. So that's a great tool to have. So now we're going to pull over our Versamark and get our thanks nice and inked up in the Versamark ink. Okay, and now I'm just going to stamp it right here. Okay, stamp it down. All right, now close up the Versamark ink. I'm going to pull over my gold embossing powder. Take my spoon, and we're just going to dribble the powder over where we just inked, or rather stamped, the sentiment. And then we just tap the back to get off any excess. Maybe a little bit more on the S here. Okay, there we go. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like before you get out your heat gun. So let me pull over my heat gun now. And I'll try to get this up to the camera so you guys can see it change. There you go. So now it's nice and shiny and super embossed and gorgeous. So that is that. Okay, so now we are ready to put our card together. It was really that simple, folks. I just love this stamp set. And how fun is this? I mean, such a fun design. Now you can see here, because again, I've got the camera in my way, and I got a little bit of ink on my block. And when I was stamping these flowers, or maybe it was when I was stamping the dots, who knows, I got a little bit of excess block ink right there. That is okay, because I designed this card to have a butterfly on the card. So I'm just going to take my butterfly when we get to that part and cover that up. So it'll be like it never happened. And that's a really great thing about card making and stamping and crafting. You can make mistakes, and there really is no such thing as a mistake, because you can fix it, or you know what, you can even just leave it like it is because it's homemade and it's okay. It's totally okay if there's little mistakes. So, all right, so first we're going to take this, we're going to take our snail here and go ahead and put this on our gold foil paper. So our gold foil paper is going to be our first layer after our main image panel. So just center this up nice and pretty on the gold. There you go, lay it down. Okay, and then this was our card base. It was, I scored it at 4 1/4 here because I wanted it to be open like this. And like I said, I already put the Whisper White inside. So we just want to take this and go ahead and put it on our card base. There you go. Okay. And then now we just have our butterfly left. And for the butterfly, I use this gold, beautiful gold glimmer paper, and I use the bold butterfly framelit die. And for the purposes of the video, I just went ahead and cut this out beforehand. This is the butterfly that I cut out with the die, with my Big Shot. And this paper is really malleable. You can really bend it and move it, so you can really get your butterfly wings up. It's really, really pretty. And I just put some gold metallic thread. It comes in a roll like this. I love this stuff. It comes in silver. Now it comes in black and copper too. And I just kind of wove it around my dimension. I put a dimensional on the back, and I just kind of played around with it, so it just kind of added a little bit of extra. And then I'm going to put the butterfly right here because I want to cover up my mistake here. Let me just fix this. There's a little bit of twine, or metallic thread rather, that kind of came undone. So let me fix that. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and stick our butterfly down, and we're going to bend his wings up a little bit. Give them some added dimension. There we go. And voila, there's our card. How cute is that? It's so super easy and fun. And this is two-step stamping. So here's the original. And I hope that you enjoyed. I hope you found this helpful. And I hope that you love this Swirly Bird stamp set as much as I do. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact me. And I will put a description in the description box of this video. I'll put a link to my blog, which will have more pictures, links to all the products that I used, and some more information about how to create this card. And I will also have a link in the description box below to my Stampin' Up! Website. Finally, I did want to share with you some other cards that I made with this stamp set. Here's one that I did, and I did post this one on my blog already. This one also uses the gold glitter paper, and this swirl right here is part of the Thinlits stamp set, or Thinlits set rather, that you can purchase as a bundle if you want to. And then this card, I cannot take credit for the design. I saw this idea on Pinterest, and I just kind of tweaked it and made it my own, but I fell in love with it. So this is just, I just made a little bear with some of the stamps in the set, and then did the flowers again with the two-step stamping and the leaves, and I also did the dots on this one as well. And these two cards use the same color scheme. They use Sweet Sugar Plum and Flirty Flamingo from the new In colors, and this one I just added some gold with the gold glimmer paper. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you love this stamp set as much as I do, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.